Good afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for being here. If you are here for the NAACP Virginia program, Virginia Volunteer Program, you are in the right space. Would love to know where people are calling in from throughout the Commonwealth. So please feel free to utilize the chat function. Let us know where folks are calling in from today. We are so very excited to have you here for this very important call. My name is Tyler Sterling. I have the honor and privilege of serving as the National Campaigns Director here for the NAACP, and I am joined by four of my amazing colleagues who are helping to do this work, helping to make sure everyone has all of the necessary tools, resources, talking points, everything to go over to make sure that we are having engaging conversations with Virginia voters this year. So I will pass it over to my colleagues to introduce themselves before we jump through our call today. I'll start with Miss Amari Fenoy.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Amari Fenoy. I serve as the National Mobilization Director. I'm excited for us to make sure that we're knocking on doors, calling voters, ensuring that individuals get out for the November 4th election. I'm going to kick it to Marie.
Perfect. Thank you, Amari. Good afternoon. Well, good morning, everyone. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Marie Radigan. I'm one of the national field organizers for the Youth and College Division. I'm excited to be here with you all. As you know, young people are fired up and ready to grow. And I'll pass it over to Richard.
Hey, everybody. Great to see so many folks joining us today. My name is Richard. I am the Virginia State Civic Engagement Director. I have a responsibility of coordinating all of our wonderful voter contact activities happening across the Commonwealth. So you'll hear a lot from me as we're leading up to Election Day, making sure that you have the resources you need. Yeah, thank you for joining us.
And last but not least, we have Miss Pepper Triplett. Pepper might be having some audio issues, so we will keep on rolling. Pep, when you hear us or can jump back in, feel free to raise your hand and introduce yourselves to our volunteers. But the reason we are here today is for our civic engagement program. So we are going to jump right into our training. I see we got Fredericksburg, Virginia Beach, Richmond. We have all of our key areas. Newport News. Thank you, folks, rolling in. So for our agenda today, we will have our welcomes. We've got a video and a greeting from our president and CEO, Mr. Derek Johnson. We will talk about what the relational organizing program is, who you are talking to, our scripts and our messaging. We know that elections are here at the NAACP and our partnership with GSSA. We'll go over a bit around GSSA in the next forthcoming slides, but we believe and know that elections are truly about what you say and who you are saying them to. At its core, elections come down to those two things, what you are saying and who you are saying them to. And we are very fortunate to have our partnership with our partners over at GSSA to help us have some of the best modeling and targeting and talking to the movable voters right now. They're all about these movable voters and making sure we move them to voting into this election. Then we'll have some scenarios and role play. We'll have some good calls, some bad calls, take some feedback from the audience into what worked, what didn't work. We'll talk about how you will receive your specific list and then how you can have additional volunteer opportunities into this program, both with NAACP members and non-NAACP members. We know that this work takes more than just our membership. We hope that every one of you decide to become members after engaging with us and help us continue the fight moving into 2026. We know Virginia will have very important elections next year as well. In this Commonwealth, I'm a Virginia resident myself. We have elections every year, as you're very well aware. But this year and next year will be some key elections. So we'll talk about how you'll get those lists, how you can join our efforts for this year and for next. And then we'll have a brief wrap up. So that is our agenda for the day. I think we may be able to go move towards our video from our president and CEO, Derek Johnson. I'm already thinking you come off mute.
Thank you to the thousands of I'm Derek Johnson, President and CEO of the NAACP. Thank you to the thousands of NAACP volunteers who will be mobilizing Black voters across the country over the next few weeks. Because of your efforts, we will make democracy work for all. The stakes are high, but because of the work that you and others will be doing, we will protect the interests of the Black community by turning out the vote. There are more than 34 million eligible voters in the United States. It is our job to engage and empower to ensure that those who are elected represent our best interests. Thank you once again. Let's get to work. Peace and power. President.
So thank you very much, Amari. And before jumping into who we are talking to and a bit around the program, I want to just reiterate some of the things President Johnson said. We know in the Commonwealth of Virginia, Virginia is often seen as a bellwether for how the country will go, what the temperature check of a state that is honestly a mini America. We've got some suburban areas, we've got some rural areas, we've got some major cities or larger cities in the Northern Virginia area and the Central Virginia area. It's honestly like a miniature America. We've got the shore, mountainous regions. Like it's a very diverse state and a diverse set of Black individuals as well of who we are talking to. We know oftentimes it seems like Black voters are grouped into a monolith. Just one type of message kind of fits all. And so we'll go through some messaging points and things that we've crafted both from primary and secondary research throughout this election cycle. And Ms. Amari Fenoy will walk through that. But really just want to thank you all because we know that all eyes will be on Virginia. It's Virginia, California, New Jersey is an important state, of course, but Virginia and California right now are where the eyes are in terms of how the progressive infrastructure, how Black voters are feeling in this moment. And it is because each and every one of you on this call that we are going to mobilize this vote. We are going to see the highest, I say it every year, and we keep increasing and we keep seeing it. We're going to speak it into existence that we will see the highest Black voter turnout in Virginia's history this election cycle. And it's because of the work that everyone on this call and not represented on this call is doing. So thank you all very much for being here. But when I referenced earlier around what our volunteer list is and who I'm talking to, we have the honor and privilege of partnering with GSSA. And if you are, on your phone, on your computer, and you're bringing up Safari or Google and trying to find out what that acronym of GSSA is, you honestly will not find much. It is a strategic partner of the NAACP. Led by the amazing and incredible Dr. Albert Yates. You may not find much on GSSA, but if you give a Google to Dr. Albert Yates, you will certainly see some credentials that he brings to the association. President Derek Johnson sought out Dr. Albert Yates in 2018 when he became the president and CEO of the NAACP, and he knew that the strategic guidance and specifically the data and targeting and modeling that GSSA provides and their strategic efforts, meaning helping us plan our programs, helping us plan our other points of contact, meaning that the volunteers and voters that you are talking to are your specific set. They're your 20 individuals that we need you to mobilize throughout this election cycle. You through canvassing first. We're going to say canvassing, 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 and then phone banking next. We want to try to get in front of every voter, speak to them face to face, and make sure we're engaging with them. We'll go over how you'll receive your list, and you'll have those addresses. You'll have a map of folks. It's not exactly like using minivan, but it'll be a similar process to those of you that have volunteered before and are familiar with getting a list, recording information on your phone, and really guiding through a phone process. It'll be something very similar to minivan, but not that minivan process. And Team GSSA helps us go through these plannings. And I was saying all that to say that your touch to your 20 voters is not the only touch that these voters will receive. The voters that we are talking to also fall into our other tactics, or what we call a suite of programs. So they're also in the vote. These voters will also receive pieces of mail. We've got targeted digital ads to them. They will fall within the media markets where our radio and streaming. So think terrestrial radio when you're in the car and you're turning that dial to 98.8, 99.9, like those terrestrial radio numbers, but then also in the spaces like a Pandora, an iHeart streaming radio, YouTube ads. Like we're really trying to make sure that we touch these voters in more ways than one. They will also receive phone calls from NAACP other NAACP members and or staff, but that final touch that we are hoping or that layered contact will come from you. We can't speak to every voter in person and want to thank you all for signing up for this program and agreeing to talk to the voters. So we believe here that NAACP, we've got the people power. We have members and non-members. Many of you on this call may not be a member, maybe not a member yet, but hopefully to see the value in the NAACP. And certainly you see the value because you're here. And maybe you want to take that volunteerism to the next level and become a member post this program. But we, the NAACP, the nation's oldest civil rights organization, bring the people power. We are a recognizable name. We are a trusted brand, and people know when they see NAACP that it is advocacy. We are a policy advocacy organization, and we are advocating for folks to get civically engaged. Then we've got the data, the data, the data, the data. Talking to the right voters, having the right cell phone for those voters. It's not as simple as just having the right voter or a name. A name's not going to do you any good. We need addresses. We need to know voting history. We know that these are modeled to be voters that are ideologically similar to us, meaning the voters and the doors that you're knocking on, you won't be knocking on speaking into existence again, anyone who is completely on the opposite spectrum of ideology mindset, meaning too many, I won't say crazy, but crazed conservatives, if you will, or those that don't see the value in voting or see the value in what the NAACP is trying to do. So you're talking to like-minded individuals. You're talking to individuals that vote infrequently. They have shown some history of voting. So you're not speaking to someone who's never voted, but you are speaking to those movable individuals who we know if we have multiple touches with, they will show up to vote. So we really believe that the people and the data, what we're saying and who we're talking to are the two things that are going to help us increase this Black voter turnout for this election cycle. So a bit around our program, where we have come. As I said, in 2018, this program was developed, sought out, developed by Team GSSA and NAACP. We created this indirect relational voter turnout. And it's indirect because while you may not know the 20 names on your list, they do live in your neighborhood. They do live nearby. So it is modeled that you will likely have somewhat similar lived experiences. We know no two individuals, none of the five of us that you see on this call, none of the members on this call are going to have the exact same lived experiences and life and, how we show up. However, we do know that these are modeled individuals that if we have these conversations with, they will likely show up. So in 2018 was a demonstration. 2019, we brought in some more technology around this. We matched the membership. So those of you that are NAACP members on this call, we reached out to you. We asked you to reach out to the rest of the branch. We asked you to reach out to our partners and ask them to engage. And we run that program in 5 states. 2020 and 2021, which seems so long ago, but it was really just 4.5 years ago, we started this early volunteer recruitment program. So some of you on this call, you may have signed up about 3 weeks ago, a month ago. Now is the time where we're looking to engage. Doesn't mean these voters haven't already been spoken to. We are doing that layered contact and engaging with these voters, but now is the time when those moderate and infrequent voters, the light switch is on or the attention is a bit on. I know you on this call are probably tired of seeing all the ads, getting all the text messages. So that's why we're trying to cut through that noise. We still do those tactics, but cut through that noise and have these real conversations. We modeled this program in 12 states, 6 priority states at the tier 1 and 6 at the lower level. In 2021, we ran this program in Virginia. Would be interested to know if anyone on this call also volunteered in our 2021 call, in our 2021 program. If you did, please feel free to drop into the chat that you also participated in the 2021 program. In 2022, we ramped up our EVP. We recruited nationally. We recruited from our 22 states, and we ran this exact program in multiple states. And then in 2024, we increased even more to 26 states. And so we've had a proven record of moving this program. We've had some studies with the Analyst Institute. I'm not sure if anyone is familiar with them. The Analyst Institute is a progressive kind of research and think tank, if you will. They run random controlled trials or experiments, and we were shown that this work moves moderate propensity voters. I said all of that to say we're not just shooting in the dark here. We've tested these results, and we know that this is an efficient program, and want to thank again each and every one of you for signing up to be here and to get the training on this program. So then next, as we talked about who we're talking to, these modeled voters, we're going to move into what do we say to the voter list. So I will kick it back to the amazing Amari Fenoy.
Thank you, Tyler. So what do I say to my voters? So when it comes to your scripts, we do have a generic script or a script about rights, and also we have more of a progress in the system one. So when you look at it, of course, we don't want you to sound like a robot, and of course, we'll have some examples at the end. But we want to make sure that you're comfortable with the language or the conversation that you're having with individuals, but also know what exactly are we trying to get individuals to do and mobilize them towards. So the generic script is just a general, hey, is Tyler available? My name is Amari, and I'm a volunteer with the NAACP. I'm reaching out because the general election or the upcoming election in Virginia basically is letting you know what's coming forth, what's my name, who am I with, because we want to know, we individuals want to know who is this person calling us, what is the credibility? I'm with an association. I want to make sure that you are mobilizing and getting out to vote on September. Our early vote starts September 9th, but we know the election day is November 4th. So we give you those 2 days and we ask individuals, are you planning to vote? And that's what is our conversation striker within that one. The next one is hello, is Tyler available again? My name is. Essentially, these scripts are to help support you when it comes to your conversation, so that you don't have that awkward moment of what do I say? How do I say it? We give you several variations of starting that conversation so you're comfortable when you're talking to individuals as we mobilize them to get out to vote. Then what exactly am I talking about? Are you voting? Okay, if you choose not to, what exactly are you voting for? We are talking about the issue. So we're not talking about candidates. We're not talking about the situation. We're talking about what are the issues that matter to individuals that are going to fuel them to do more research and get out to vote for the November election. So we do have some talking points for you. One on job and trade. We know that there has been a number of issues when it comes to jobs, especially when it comes to Virginia. We want to make sure that we're having that conversation about the federal level meeting the state level, higher education, the workforce. Those bullet points are there, and how the governor's race, the lieutenant governor's race, and the attorney general's race actually matter to job and trade. Talking about diversity, equity, and inclusion, talking about the rollback of federal programs. We want to make sure that individuals know how exactly does that impact you when it comes to the colleges, when it comes to contractors for the state, when it comes to federal workers. What does that mean for the Commonwealth? Immigration, we know there's been some harsh enforcement policies. What does that mean for the community within Virginia? And then also healthcare. We know that there is a push on, losing Medicaid. Individuals are going to be truly impacted within this area. How do we have this conversation about the cuts that can harm families in Virginia, but also who can impact rural hospitals overall and how individuals access that healthcare? Also talking about the environment and energy, talking about clean energy and the initiatives that are being pushed forth, but also some of the things that are being happening to make sure that there are fewer cleaner jobs about clean energy or utility costs. There are various different viewpoints within that area. And then also everything boils down to economics, talking about taxes and finances, and how that will impact Virginians from Northern Virginia to Southern Virginia. How does that impact public schools? Overall, these are the viewpoints or some of the bullet points that will help guide some of the conversations that you have with individuals within the Commonwealth, but also understanding that we're talking about the roles that individuals are doing. So what exactly does the attorney general do? Individuals may ask you that question. We have those bullet points. Did you know that they actually help with the federal and state dynamics when it comes to enforcing voting rights? When it comes to diversity, equity, and inclusion, what exactly does the attorney general do within that vital role, especially when it comes to education and employment within the workforce? Cannabis regulation. Virginia is up for approval on cannabis regulation. That individual plays a role in that implementation. Public safety. We're talking about gun violence prevention. We're talking about juvenile justice. We're talking about transparency within the process. Individuals have these questions about their day-to-day lives, and we want to make sure that we're giving them some sort of information for them to go ahead and move forth with an educated decision for November the 4th. Also, when it comes to voting rights, overseeing procedures, voter ID laws, those are going to heavily impact individuals, especially when it comes to casting their ballot. So we need to make sure that they understand that, but also reproductive justice. When it comes to overall access and regulation, they have a say in what happens within the Commonwealth. But also Virginia Beach, we have not forgotten about you when it comes to the 10-1 731 ballot referendum. We want to make sure that individuals are voting yes for one, fair representation, but also local accountability. We want to make sure that individuals control their communities when it comes to having conversations about city council. We want to make sure that the power is within the people's hands. So we do have information there for individuals who are within the Virginia Beach area. When do I get my list of voters? So we just told you about the program. We just told you who you're talking to, what are the talking points, but when do I even get a chance to talk to these individuals? You will receive your list through the SMS link that you got to join this training or that you got to even be a volunteer. You will receive that through that same text message by October 15th. So you will receive that information by October 15th. And the way to access your list is your phone number. So you have to have your phone number to enter into the link that will be sent to you through SMS in order for you to see your list of individuals that you're going to contact. So making sure that you enter your phone number will be essential in making sure that you're able to use to contact your voters. We do recommend that you use a third-party vendor when it comes to Google Voice to make sure that individuals are not able to call your personal number back. We want to make sure that your number is protected. So that information will also be packaged in here for you to go ahead and make that Google Voice number. Simple process. You enter your email address. It's a pretty quick process, and you can also do an app on your phone. But this just makes sure that individuals are not able to call your personal number back. You'll be able to find the scripts that we just went through on the website. So we will have a toolkit prepared for you with all of the talking points and bullet points so that you're able to reference them as you're talking to individuals, so that you're able to be comfortable within those conversations. And then also, again, we do recommend that free third-party application when it comes to Google Voice, to make sure that your information is protected. And you can download Google Voice from Google Play Store, from the Apple Store, as I mentioned before. And we'll follow up with some support in terms of how exactly do you do that. But it's a quick and easy process. You can find the app in Google Play if you have an Android, and you can find it in the Apple Store if you have an iPhone. And I'm going to kick it back to you, Tyler.
Thank you, Amari. So Amari just walked through how we are mobilizing the mobilizing messaging to get out the vote. In particular, she highlighted that we are not endorsing any specific candidate. This program in the NAACP remains nonpartisan. However, we are talking about the issues that are motivating factors to have folks show up to vote. And honestly, that can be refreshing at times when you're having a conversation with someone and you say, well, I'm not telling you to vote a specific way. I want you to know what is on the ballot this year, and hopefully you make the decision that is best for your personal life, your family, and your community that you see. So talking about the issues is how the NAACP has remained the nation's oldest civil rights organization for 116 years. But as far as our best practices, we want you to remember your why. Remembering your why is keeping this centered. If you do this because you want to see a better future for your children, your grandkids, your family, your community, remember that when you're having that conversation. Always feel free to reference and pivot back when you get a question. We've got some scenario and role play coming up, but when you're engaging with a voter, remember why you are doing this. There's nothing worse than having a conversation with someone, as Amari said, who's reading like a robot or referencing, staring right at the paper and not necessarily talking to the voter. At the end of the day, we are talking to the person in front of us and remembering why we are here and engaging in this program. Always identify yourself as a volunteer with the NAACP. That is a big first step, identifying yourself and saying, hey, I'm a volunteer. We'll talk a bit around some things to help visually identify yourself as a volunteer as we move later down the slides. But when we're saying in the conversation, the words that are coming out of our mouths, we want to remember that we are identifying ourselves as a volunteer. Smile while you dial. It may sound corny, but you can hear a smile on the other end of someone's voice when you are talking to someone. If you are frowning, your face tightens up and your voice gets a little lower, and it's just you can feel it. So smile while you're talking to someone. If you don't know the answer, be truthful. We are in an era and an age of mis and disinformation, and I don't want any volunteer on this call to be a perpetrator of that. If you don't have the answer, let them know. I don't necessarily have that answer as to what this House bill means, or it's very rare that you have a conversation with a voter or an infrequent voter that pulls out, General Assembly Bill HB 729. What does that mean? But in the instance that you do get that, tell them I actually don't have that answer, and I'll check back with the NAACP on what their stance is on this policy, and we'll follow up with you because no one wants to be lied to. And also, you could tell, you can kind of tell when someone's waffling and looking for the right answer. Like, just be truthful. We this election and all elections moving forward, we are seeing voters want transparency, transparency, transparency. And if they feel that the volunteer that is in front of them isn't being transparent, then how are they going to trust the NAACP and then take that step even further to have their voice be heard and express their power at the ballot box? The typical best times to call, we see 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. after the traditional 9 to 5 is finished. That's probably our best times throughout the week. Saturday and Sunday, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. And then for our canvassing times, really that Saturday and Sunday, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. It is getting darker earlier. We do not advocate for folks to be out there canvassing in the complete darkness. We want you to remain safe. On the website that is Amari has referenced, there will be some safety tips as well for folks, but we'll go over some of those in the do's and don'ts. And then get to the ask. If you see one of the scripts, that Amari showed, like the progress one, if the person is in front of you and attentive and you can get through the script, by all means, please do. But if I pop my door open and I'm like, what do you want? You may not want to say, hi, my name is Tyler Sterling. I'm a volunteer with the NAACP. Did you know that this election, like you might say, hey, we're here trying to make sure that people know that there's an election happening. Are you showing up to vote? Are you voting? Get straight to the ask if you can see. Read those facial cues. The person just pops their head out. You may not want to go through the whole spiel. You say, hey, I'm a volunteer with the NASB. You planning on voting? Mark them down as a yes. If you need any more information, go to nasb.org/vote and then push it on. Keep it moving. And then listen for the appropriate talking point. If someone tells you, I'm getting ready to go because my child I got soccer practice. You know, two things. They're a parent and that their kid plays soccer. We know the school funding is getting cut left and right. And after school programs like soccer, these youth programs are diminishing. That could be a talking point. You just say, we need elected leaders who see the value in after school programs to keep our kids off the streets. We need the elected leaders who see the value in student health. Health is a big thing. We want kids active, like all of those things. I knew two things right away. They're a parent and that their kid is involved in some sport. So listen for the appropriate talking point. And then some of our additional best practices. So the volunteer has a question you don't know the answer to. We're going to ask you to go to checknaacp.org/vote. That website is currently getting flipped over to some more Virginia specific things. There's naacp.org/vote and naacp.org/volunteer. Both of those spaces will be go-to spots for your information. Checking the toolkit, as Amari referenced, in our follow-up materials when you receive your list. You will receive a toolkit that will live on the website and in a downloadable PDF format, so you can keep that on your device as you're walking around. We also have the NAACP Contact Center. So in the follow-up information, you will see that phone number. This is a list of NAACP staff members who are versed in some of our program elements, and you ask them if it's not on the website, you don't know the answer, you can call the NAACP Contact Center, and that individual is a contact center professional, and they'll be able to direct you towards the answer or give you the answer right there. And then that gives you a reason to follow back up with the voter. And honestly, anecdotally, we've heard from a lot of volunteers that come back to a voter and tell them, hey, I actually got that answer for you. Their minds are blown. They're like, wait, you came back and gave me an answer? You came back to my door to tell me you got an answer for me? That's why your list of 20 people is so important. We're not asking necessarily for you to take a canvas packet every other day and talk to 50 individuals. These 20 are the 20 people that we need you to talk to between the 15th and election day. So it gives you more leverage or flexibility after you knock out 15 of them and you know you only have 5 to work through the final week. Check in on those 5 each day. Each day of the week you could check on one of them and say, hey, I'm just checking back, are you any closer to voting? So following up with the voter is a really key thing that can be immensely helpful. So these are some of your best practices through the phone components and what resources are available. Next, we will move into some of the best practices for canvassing. So canvassing 101. Understand who you're talking to. Every name on the list is a registered voter. So they are registered. We're not talking to people about taking the step to register and then show up to the election. We're talking to all registered voters. Most do not vote regularly, but some may be newly registered, and many are undecided or they're modeled to fall in this like, I'm not necessarily a super voter and I'm not like I never show up voter. They just need some interaction to make sure they're showing up to vote. Know the message, so review the script, do a little role play, do a little practice. We'll have some of that coming up in just a moment, but you don't have to read it word for word again. The scripts and talking points are pivot points for you to be able to listen, respond to something that came from or came out of that conversation. And then knowing how your list is organized, studying the map, and determine the best route to make the best use of your time. So we'll have a map. It'll be kind of indicate what street number, where folks are street name and house number, unit number, how to make sure that we are organizing our list and moving through that list efficiently. Additional best practices with canvassing, hitting every door in the packet. So we want to make sure we're talking to every voter between the 15th or prior to, but at least by the 15th, that you are talking to every person on your list. Knocking on the door, always knock twice. I like a friendly knock, not necessarily a police or 5-0 knock. I like a little, and I take a few steps back. A quick little knock, a quick knock, a friendly knock, not necessarily a that's not our best practices there. That's not good. I'm not answering the door if you knock like that, or I'm at least peeping around the window. So a friendly knock. Take 2 steps back. Do not be up in someone's face. Like we want to make sure we're knocking. If there's a front porch or some steps, step down the steps. Be welcoming. Be greeting. If no one is home, please leave the piece of literature, and we'll discuss how you can pick up that literature from our canvassing days of action and our other volunteer opportunities by meeting some of our NAACP members, meeting some of our leaders, meeting Mr. Richard Merritt, who is running our civic engagement, leading our civic engagement in the state. How you can get that literature, but also it is illegal to place any non-mailed items in a mailbox. I want to reiterate that what you will have NAACP branding on it, and so if you place that in the mailbox and this voter happens to call the authority, not necessarily the authorities, but reports this up to proper channels, whether that's the Elections Commission, the Board of Elections, like the NAACP will be fined and is at risk of losing a nonprofit status. One, it's a felony for the individual to do it, but also it affects the NAACP's standing as a nonprofit organization. And then third, remember you're representing the NAACP. First, you're representing yourself, your family, and your community. Second, you are representing the NAACP. We want to make sure how you act directs how you are acting is a direct reflection of the association. So we want to make sure that you are having a polite and friendly conversation. If you do reach someone who is strongly supporting another issue or saying outright, like, get out of my face, I see you with the NAACP, I'm supporting so and so. We don't necessarily need to engage with that person. We take a step back. Don't try and engage with them in a full-on debate. Code the list, mark them down as a non-supporter or not a voter for conservative or not necessarily a vote for progress. Mark them down and then move on to the next list. So these are some of our best practices in our canvassing. And then we've got just a chart here. You'll have this chart access available as well. Be polite and respectful. Don't be rude and argumentative. Answer the questions that are offered to you, should you have with them. Don't argue on those questions. Ask for an email address or something extra to keep in touch. So if you get that answer or you have a question and you're unable to actually follow up with the person in person, let's say you have a question and you used all your available days to hit to the person on the doors. You talked to everyone once or twice at the doors, but they had a question you wanted to follow up. Get their email address so you can follow up. You already do have their phone number, so you can call them and follow back. But if you'd prefer to send them a link or send them resources that come from the NAACP Contact Center, that come from our website, get their email and send them that message. Don't give wrong information. Again, there is plenty of dis and misinformation in this time, and we do not want to be perpetrators of either. Dis is yeah, we don't want to be perpetrators of that. Step back after knocking on the door. You knock the door, take a few steps back, and then do not be right in the doorway as the voter opens the door. So these are just a quick reference guide for some best practices while canvassing. Now we've got resources on the NAACP website. So these top issues, the NAACP research comes to us, and or the research develops those top issues. We do our research. We ask the voters. We've done primary and secondary research to see what voters are interested in. The top issues then come out of that. The top issues help us develop those scripts, those pivot points, those talking points, everything Amari had. The best practices, do's and don'ts. Then also on the website, you will see a volunteer frequently asked questions, and then our contact center. Our contact center has a list that is staffed by NAACP staff members who are knowledgeable in the matter and can help you answer a question or get you the right question, the answer to that voter. So what I'm going to do now is actually kick the floor over to Miss Marie Radigan and Mr. Richard Merritt to do some role play and scenarios for us.
All right, thank you, Tyler. What we're about to model for you, of course, is a scenario of a volunteer call. We're going to have two scenarios here. So we'll be able to get to see what's good and bad on both scenarios. But we'll show you what a call looks like and what not to do, and then we'll dive into a call that models the best behavior for the NAACP. So I will serve as the calling on behalf of the organization. Marie's going to be the voter, and we'll go from there.
Awesome.
Hi, is Marie? Is Marie home?
Yes, this is Marie.
Hey, Marie, this is Richard. I'm calling from organizations in the neighborhood. Want to make sure that you know, you planning to vote?
Yeah, I'm planning to vote. What organization are you in? Who is this?
Richard, I'm sorry. Richard's my name. NAACP is the organization. That's my cousin told me that's who we're calling for today. So I just wanted to make sure you know, are you voting and do you know who you're voting for?
Yeah, I am planning to vote, and I don't feel comfortable sharing who I'm voting for.
You don't want to tell me who you vote for? Why not? I'm voting for
Um,
Chuck. I'm letting you know right now I'm voting for Chuck. So um you're not voting for Chuck?
um, no, I don't think I'm voting for Chuck. I don't think that I feel like sharing that as well.
Okay, you're being a little testy today. I just wanted you to vote. I just want to make sure that you know how to vote and that you need to vote for Chuck. And yeah, that's all I'm saying to you. So I'm going to finish up these calls. Hold on real quick. Woo! My boy scored. All right, all right. But no, seriously, I just need you to vote for Chuck and tell other people in the neighborhood to vote for Chuck. Um, and just go to the polls and do what you do. Because black folks we show up. So just go out there, vote, and then hold on. They also can you call other people in your neighborhood and tell them to vote too. Okay? Sound good? You got it?
Sound Sounds good. All right, thank you so much.
Perfect. All right. Vote for Chuck, Marie. All right.
All right. All right. Goodbye.
So what I'd love to know from the chat, I think we've seen we're able to get in the chat. What was bad about that call? If there's a number of things that were bad, I would like to know if anyone pinpointed some key things that they thought they could point out for all of us in the we got someone that was terrible. Too many ums. The language was very informal. All of those were exactly right. Everything bad about that call. Did not immediately identify himself. He told her who to vote for. Keela, that is exactly a big one there. We are not telling anyone to vote for a specific candidate. We are asking folks to go in. Someone said, I would have hung up. All of the above. He started to quibble with her. no confidence, intrusive, yes, all of those things. And so we're hoping that this call here and the resources that are sent to you are being able to do exactly those things. Give you some confidence to this, help you be less intrusive, feel more confident in the script and the talking points. He was distracted. It did seem like a scam. What are you voting for? You gonna call more people? Ask her to call more people as well. We are talking to our voters now. If in fact this person is excited and is like, yeah, I'd like to I'm going to vote, of course. This election means a lot. That is when you'd pivot and be like, okay, tell your friends and family too. Make sure they also show up and vote. But thank you all. Talk too much, was distracted. Yes, there was a lot there to pinpoint. So now we are going to go through our second scenario of what a good call should be.
Perfect. All right, Richard, are you ready? All right. Hello, is Richard available?
Hey, this is Richard. Who's calling?
Hey, my name is Marie Radigan. I'm with the NAACP. I'm reaching out because, as you know, there's an upcoming election in Virginia, and this fall is extremely crucial. There's a lot on the line. We want to make sure that you participate in your right, in your democracy. Is there anything that is coming up for you that matters the most? I know for me, it's gas prices has been high and food. What about you?
Oh, well, Marie, thanks for calling. I really didn't plan on, chatting with anybody today, but yes, I do plan to vote. Gas prices are extremely high. We know that. I won't even waste your time. But for me, I have a sick father that I'm taking care of, and he's, now moved into my house, and so healthcare is really important to me. He's coming in, and so I got to plan for the kids and making school work for them, and so it's just a whole lot of stuff going on in the world.
Well, thank you so much, Richard, for sharing that and being vulnerable. You know, the NAACP, we believe in healthcare. We believe that jobs are extremely important, as well as education is important. There's been a attack on diversity, equity, and inclusions, and I think that this is the exact reason that you should go out and participate and vote. Early voting starts on September 15th. And election day is November 4th. So can we count on you and your voice for our communities to show up?
Yeah, of course. I'm gonna vote. I'm gonna vote early. But since I have you on the phone, because I'll
Yeah.
I'll just fill in my ballot. Don't worry about it. I'm down in Virginia Beach. What's this referendum thing that people keep telling me vote yes, vote no? Do you know anything about that? Because I don't pay attention.
Yeah, sure. So we have a voter guide that's on our website typically, as well as some amendment guides that you can go on naacp.org on that website so that you can follow up and see what you should probably vote yes for or vote no on. That'll help you with some information.
Okay, sounds good. I
How does
appreciate
that
it.
sound?
I'm a consistent
Okay.
voter, I think. So I'll be there. I'm gonna vote, like I said,
All
vote by
right.
mail. But thank you for letting me know. I appreciate it. I gotta go.
Yeah, sure. No problem. Thank you so much. Have a good day.
Now, there is a lot of really good information in that call. And I want to thank both Richard and Marie for really pulling out some information from both ends onto that call. So we'd like to know from folks, what did we like? What did we see that was really positive about that call that we just had? And I do see your question, Alonzo. We will get to that. Um, Yes, zeroed in on the issue. She was well informed and engaging. She referenced the website, conversational, not pushy. She smiled while she dialed. You could hear the smile in her voice. Those of you that may not have your cameras on or seeing our team here, she smiled while she dialed. She listened. She was able to engage the person that she was talking to. Didn't treat it as just a name and a number and a metric that needs to be hit. Treated Richard as another person on the other end. Richard was vulnerable in saying some things that are happening in community, happening in his life, and happening all across the Commonwealth. As we know, healthcare is an issue, and affording healthcare is becoming an immense pressure on families. So some of you may have family members living with you or sick family members that you are taking care of because of healthcare issues or disparities in access to healthcare and in-home care availability or Medicaid expansion or lack of expansion, those kind of things. So there was a lot there. She didn't sound rehearsed and she listened. So these were some really great points there. And again, referencing that website. Being engaging, being friendly, and then treating Richard like another person on the other end of the call, not just a name and number and a metric that I'm doing to be civically engaged. Because while we thank you for every single call that you make, the more you personalize it, the more fun it's going to be, the more impact you are actually going to have, and the more that call is going to resonate with them. They may go home. Richard may then go talk to his dad and say, Dad, who just called the NAACP? Like, they talking about voting, and that starts a kitchen table conversation. We are hoping that the people that we are talking to, you leave them with a good impression, and then they tell someone else, who called me? The NAACP. I just saw their digital ad when I was on Instagram, and they got the mail to me last week. They really want me to vote. Let's take a look at what they're talking about. So it's just these drops in the bucket, these other pieces of contact. So thank you, Richard and Marie, for really great role play and scenario. We're just about to wrap up here, y'all, but we want to go through our volunteer code of conduct. So this is also found on the website that you probably clicked a link to or responded to the message to say that you would be participating in this program. But we understand that the program is nonpartisan. Will not make any statements. So like Richard was saying, we're not saying vote for Chuck. We're not saying vote for so and so. It is a nonpartisan program. We understand that the information I receive through my activities as a volunteer in the program are confidential. So we're sending you people's phone numbers and people's addresses to knock on those doors. And so any usage outside of the intended impact, the intended intent of showing up to vote and having a conversation with them, we are not allowed and not permitted to use that information for any other way. So you get to voters in your district and your cousin's running for house election. We're not sharing these voters with your cousin. This is for the NAACP program. I understand that I'll be conduct myself with courtesy and respect. If you're on this call, I get that you know that, but we have to reiterate these things in this moment. There are bad actors in this time, sign up for the trainings and get the list and then may talk crazy. We do our best to weed those folks out, but we just got to reiterate being courteous and respectful. Will not harm anyone in any way. I'm gonna just leave that one there. We're gonna be respectful and keep our hands to ourselves, of course. I'll be participating in the no contact canvassing program. So this is actually, when we're saying no contact, this one needs to be slightly edited, but we are knocking on doors here. We are giving people the option to either call or knock on doors. We want that knock to be the first thing that we are prioritizing, and I'll comply with all legal requirements. So that is our volunteer code of conduct, and that will be on our website. I'm actually going to kick it back now for our next slide to Mr. Richard Merritt to discuss some additional volunteer opportunities with the NAACP, both prior to receiving your list and post receiving your list. So I'll kick it to Richard.
Hey, folks, just in closing here, we want you to be involved. We want you to know where to go to be involved and to be able to take action. So, want everybody to be aware that our Mobilize Virginia State Conference page is up, it's live, and there are events that are being added to it daily as branches are communicating with me directly about their plans for voter contact. So, Mobilize is a wonderful event platform. You can go on to the dashboard via the link there or accessing it through the QR codes. And there you'll see our standing events as well as branch specific events. We are hosting a weekly phone bank every Thursday night. That is on there. So that's a statewide phone bank for folks to join on Thursday evenings. That is going to occur weekly. We have canvas launches happening that are posted on there as well. So I know that Chesterfield County is planning a day of action on 10/4. We have a lot of action going on from Virginia Beach as well. So there are town halls, there are canvassing opportunities, there's weekly phone banks. We'll have a standing text message uh, weekly event as well. So please go to Mobilize, click on that link, and sign up for events. We have days of action leading all the way up through election day. And for any branch leaders or anybody else on the call, continue to send us the information, and we'll get those events onto the page so that you can help promote locally as well.
Thank you, Richard. And as I was kind of speaking to or implying to earlier of identifying yourself as a volunteer outside of the language and the words that we are saying, by signing up for these days of action and coming to your local NAACP branch or local day of action, that is where we will be administering our voter guides, what Marie referenced, so the pieces of literature, as well as NAACP t-shirts. And so if you're signing up for those events, we are getting t-shirts out to each of these locations. So that is how you'll get your physical identifier as an NAACP volunteer, as well as your literature to knock on the doors. So you're signing up for the program through the national office. You got your text message, you got the link, someone sent you this to, or you found it on the website. However you got here, you are here in this moment. We are excited to have you here. But the next step that we need you to do is attend one of these days of action. Come to a local branch, meet the NAACP membership, meet our leaders, meet your fellow volunteers who live in your neighborhood, these could be friends, these may be new potential friends. Meet other folks in your area, grab your NAACP swag, get your voter guides, and then talk to our other voters. So your 20 list of voters are not the ones that you will receive when you come to a canvas list. We're hoping you do that on a separate day outside of the days of action. Days of actions are additional voters that do fall into those suite of programs, those door knocking or those mail lists, the radio, the digital matching, the ads, all of those pieces. We've got plenty of voters that we need to talk to. So some of you who are on this call who are like, I need more than 20 voters. I got time. I'm all about mobilizing for this election. This is how you plug in. Please continually check that mobilize link. As I said, as Richard said, events are being added daily. So just refresh that link, find your nearest day of action, and then come to the office, meet some folks, and help us change hearts and minds. So we're going to wrap up here with some next steps. You will receive your list via SMS for your custom volunteer link. Your unique identifier is going to be your cell phone number. The same number we text it to is the same number you're going to enter to get that access to your specific 20 volunteers. Refresh yourself with the resources on our website. Then join other NAACP members and volunteers for our days of action. That's where you can get your t-shirt, get your literature, and be set up for your specific list, as well as some additional voters. And this final piece, we're going to change hearts and minds and secure a better future for all. So changing hearts and minds to decide that their voice is valuable in this moment. And one of the ways that your voice is valuable is by casting your ballot and letting your voice be heard. So those are our wrap up and next steps. I believe we have one other thank you slide. And yes, this Zoom is being recorded. We have another training tomorrow at 5 p.m. and post those. We'll kind of edit or slice and dice or pick the best recording and make sure that recording is also available on the website. So all the follow-up resources that you get, everything will be kind of packaged together.
Hey, NAACP, I'm Yvette Nicole Brown, and I'm here to say thank you to the thousands of NAACP volunteers who will be mobilizing 14.8 million Black voters across the country over the next few weeks. I know that you know that we're voting for our families, our freedoms, our future. This November, we have to vote like our lives depend on it because they do. The stakes are high. Some elected officials at the local, state, and national level are rolling back rights that we thought were fundamental. They're legislating women's bodies, making it harder for communities of color to vote, and supporting harmful policing and prosecution of our communities. There are more than 34 million eligible Black voters in the U.S., a force that makes a difference in every election. And Black Americans are enthusiastic about the 2024 elections. Of those who were eligible to vote in 2008 during Obama's historic first run, 78% are equally or even more excited for 2024. However, there are key groups of the Black community, particularly young Black voters and Black men, who will require extra effort to engage in the political process. Let's all work to increase Black voter turnout and elect candidates who will provide solutions to the Black community's most pressing issues in November. Nobody can represent for Black people like Black people. Getting voters to the polls this November is how we truly show our influence and our commitment to the Black community. Voting is truly our Black job. Again, thank you to the thousands of NAACP volunteers for your work to mobilize Black voters to the polls. Let's make history together.
Thank you all for joining this training. We will stay on to see if there are some additional questions coming our way, but remember to keep using that Mobilize link. After tomorrow's 5 p.m. training, we'll send a follow-up from this training and then be on the lookout for your list and those additional resources. So kind of order of operations, we have another training tomorrow. After that training, we'll either edit or look at the videos and then send out the immediate following training resources, and then continually communicate on when you get your list, how to reference the website, and these days of action. So in the meantime, between now and the 15th, continually refresh that Mobilize link. Join us for some of our days of action. Get your shirt, get your literature, meet some of our members, and help us advance the progressive values and do right by our communities in the Commonwealth of Virginia. So thank you all very much for joining this training. If you have any questions, we'll stay back. Otherwise, I hope you all have a great Saturday, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Tyler. I don't see a question in Q&A, but I do see one question about when making calls, should you give your full name or just your first name? Best practice is just to give your first name, but also call the individual by their first name as well. You don't want to misgender them by any chance, so you just want to make sure like, hey, am I speaking to Tyler? I'm just making sure that you're kind of connecting in that way. But the recommendation is to just use first names. And I think that is our only question. Thank you all so much.
Thank you. Have a good Saturday, everyone.